Welcome to this special edition of the New Stack Makers on the Road. We're here at the Open Source Summit in Dublin, Ireland. Discussions from the show floor with technologists giving you their expertise and insights to help you with your everyday work.
Hi, and welcome to another on-the-road edition of the New Stacks Makers podcast. We're here at Open Source Summit Europe in downtown Dublin, Ireland. And we're here to talk about the topic that's on everybody's mind these days, climate change, and specifically the role the open source community can play in driving the transition to renewable energy and decarbonization efforts. And I'm here with, for our discussion today, with two guests. First of all, we have Benoît Jeanson.
Yes.
Welcome, Benoît.
Thank you.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
So I'm working for RTE. So RTE is the transmission system operator, so the grid for the power. And I'm an architect there, and I work for the OSPO, Open Source Program Office of RTE.
We're also here with Jonas van de Begaard. Jonas, can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, welcome. And can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Thank you for having us. I'm Jonas van de Begaard, Solution Architect at Alliander. And similar as Benoît, I'm also involved in Alliander's Open Source Program Office. And Alliander is the distribution system operator in the Netherlands. And we operate and manage energy networks.
Okay. And you're also involved with Linux Foundation Energy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I sure can. So we as Alliander are involved in LF Energy as a strategic member. And we have been so since 2019. And the goal of LF Energy is to bring parties and organizations active in the energy domain together. The goal of LF Energy is to be an open source foundation focused on the power system sector, hosted within the Linux Foundation. And its mission is to really bring together investment, people, and technology to transform the world's relationship to energy.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that initiative started and what it saw as, what the organization saw as the opportunities there?
I think Benoît, as the founding members of LF Energy, can probably answer this question best.
So I'm not the founding member. I'm from RTE. RTE is one of the founding members, and actually Alliander joined very soon after. So it was in 2018 that we started this initiative. We understood that with the energy transition that we have, there are huge challenges regarding the code that we need to be developed for our industry. And we need to have reliable code, industrial grade code. And so we need to have something to accelerate the way that we elaborate the code. And we understood that open source could be a real opportunity for us to be around the table with all our partners, other utilities or also vendors, and building together the ecosystem of the future for this transition that is happening so fast.
And it's, sorry, you look like you wanted to jump in.
I would just like to add on that that's also the reason we joined as Alliander soon after RTE, is to really focus on how and accelerate the move to more renewable energy, and also make that possible for new digital solutions and capabilities. And open source plays a really vital role in realizing these new digital capabilities and solutions. And LF Energy really helps to bring people together with knowledge on how to do that, especially from the Linux Foundation side, but also brings together the organizations, and that can be vendors, that can be universities, that can be distribution system, transmission system operations, together to realize those common and shared solutions.
Are there any challenges in trying to get these, especially the vendors, the stakeholders involved, to collaborate on something like this, or people have been pretty happy to collaborate together?
To be honest, it is a challenge. The energy domain has been there for a long time, and has been quite stable up to like 10 years ago. So for a lot of organizations, both on the vendor side but also on the utility side, the need to digitalize and focus more on IT and those capabilities is new. And also open source in that matter is also a very new concept. So we see that it's getting more and more awareness around open source and the possibilities around that in the energy domain. But it's also still starting up. So it's something we continuously have to explain and create awareness around. But it's moving in the right direction.
So it's a little bit of a cultural, a little education around culture for some of these that of the open source culture.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. So it's definitely something making other utilities aware of what open source can bring and how does it work. One of the aspects which is really important in our domain is security. Some organizations still see open source as to be a potential risk. And I believe from an architect perspective, but also from an open source perspective, that security and open source can go hand in hand. Of course, you need to be aware of it and take the right measurements. So also that requires education and training on how to do that and how to take that in control.
What are some of the technologies involved in these solutions to move toward the transition in energy and decarbonization?
Currently, LF Energy hosts 18 projects.
Oh, wow.
And with more in the pipeline, so we are expecting more in the future. And those projects are quite broad in scope. So we have projects that are focused on the application domain. One example is the OpenStaff project. That's also a project we are working together on with RT. And that's a project that is focused on creating forecasts for the load on the electricity grid for the next hours to days.
Oh, wow.
So it really gives insight in what the load on the grid will be. And that's really important for companies like us because having insight in what the load on the grid will be, we got an understanding of when the maximum capacity of the grid will be reached. And it also gives us the opportunity to take action in time to prevent the maximum grid capacity be reached.
And that can prevent blackouts and brownouts and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that can prevent blackouts and that sort of things. And also on the other side, makes enable that we can add more renewable energies to the grid.
So we actually are working at every level of the stack. So we have also tools that we want to develop at the substation level, in the field. And we're dealing with there. We have a project, for example, CPath, which aims at doing virtualization within the substation for the various functions that we need to have at this level. We have also Fledge Power that enables to translate protocols from the legacy protocols and new protocols, so from the fields to our data centers. We're also having cloud-native solution for the operators. We have a project that we are working together on that is Operator Fabric. That is an enabler that is a tool for the operator in the control room to have hypervision and have opportunities to ease the coordination with the various actors and constraints, and also dealing with the coming AIs that will be developed for our industry. So that's every layer, almost all the technology that we can see here are covering our needs.
And to add to that, so the LF Energy has a really broad spectrum, so from projects in the edge domain to the application domain. But the main thing that they all have in common is that they really focus on the unique challenges we have in the energy domain. And it's really to bring LF Energy is the common place to host those projects and also create a network around those projects with organizations that are working on these projects to collaborate with one another and exchange experiences and knowledge.
Is there a particular project, you mentioned some of the projects, is there a particular project that you would like to draw people's attention to, maybe as potential maintainers or contributors, or that you think is just doing something that's really going to change things in a big way?
I think we have 18 amazing projects in Elf Energy, and I would really invite everyone to have a look at those projects to see which project could help you with your challenge in your organization or in the domain you are. And because they are really broad projects, and for some projects can be interesting for utilities, others can be more interesting for market parties or for vendors. Of course, if you, it's also a project I was heavily involved in, is OpenStaff. I just mentioned it. So if you are working on AI and are interested in that domain, and you want to help the energy of the world to move to more clean energy, we're definitely looking for new contributors and organization to help us bring that project further and see how we can make even more better forecast on the electricity load on the grid and incorporate external factors like wind energy, solar energy, and weather data, etc.
What do you see are there particular big challenges that you see or big problems that you would like to see someone tackle in this space that they have not yet?
One thing I hope Elf Energy can help, and open source in particular, is that you see that the wheel is reinvented many times. And I hope by being here today and focus on open source that we can bundle the powers and the investments to not reinvent the wheel again, but put together the effort and see if we can, by collaborating, create more innovation together than we each can by ourselves.
I think that we need to move faster. Mm-hmm. And what we see that it's happening, the climate change is happening.
Yeah.
So, and in Europe we have a problem with the energy thanks to the war, and so we have to tackle all these challenges at once. And what we are doing with the Linux Foundation in Energy is really something that will help for the future. And we need to go faster and faster. We need also to offer opportunity for business, for vendors and so on. And vendors need to understand that open source is an opportunity that they should not be afraid of that. We want to do business with them based on open source. We just need to accelerate the momentum. So please join and please work with us. We are on the same earth.
That's very true. Like, we've only got one Earth. That's how can folks get involved? Do you go to website? Do they what would you advise they do to get involved?
We have an Elf Energy website, so you can visit us on elfenergy.org. So please invite everyone to have a look at our website. You can find more information about all our 18 projects we have at Elf Energy. Also, you can find information on how to get in contact of these individual projects. Also advise, we have a general mailing list as Elf Energy to be subscribed to that mailing list if you want to stay up to date with recent developments in the Elf Energy community. We also are active on social media. You can find us on LinkedIn, for example, if you want to stay up to date via LinkedIn, for example.
Okay. Any final thoughts? Any final words on LF Energy and on the work it's doing?
I just would highlight, Benoît already mentioned this, I think energy is of importance for everyone. And especially moving to more cleaner and renewable energy is key for us all. And I think we have great minds all around the world. And I really believe that we can achieve that. And I think the best way to do that is to combine the effort of all those great minds. And I think Elf Energy and open source can be a great enabler of that.
Fully agree with Jonas. What to add?
and to go faster than we are now, obviously. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the New Stack Makers, and we'll see you soon.
If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on all the major social media platforms. You can always find us at thenewstack.io. We hope to see you soon.